Let's Talk Small Business, the real talk, no BS podcast for business owners and entrepreneurs who want to grow and actually enjoy the ride. I'm Mitchell Wilson. Let's get into it. So today's guest, Paul Lajoie, has spent over 3 decades in small business. And when I say he sat in every seat, I mean it. He's been the buyer, operator, advisor. He's personally acquired and exited over 15 to 20 businesses there. And he's the founder of bizbuypro.com. Okay. Now, Paul here, he's also the author of The Exit Plan, which we'll find out more about when we chat. This is going to be a big one, especially if you've ever thought about buying a business, selling one, or just building something that's actually worth something someday. So, Paul, let's talk small business.
Man, thanks for the intro. But the first thing that came to mind is like, holy crap, I'm old. I've been doing this for a long time.
Experience, don't we?
It means I'm old or wise, I guess. Maybe that's a better. Yes, let's talk small business. Yeah, without a doubt. So let me give you a little bit of background and kind of how I got into small business acquisition. So I'm a CPA from an education standpoint and worked in Big Six accounting, Coopers and Lybrand right out of school, and kind of hated that, but really good experience without a doubt. And then kind of pivoted into corporate accounting and finance, Fortune 500 companies and things like that. Really enjoyed that and worked that for about 8 years. But then we kind of had a life change or life event, getting ready to have baby number 2. Mm-hmm. We're going to get the wife to stay home. So we started looking at small businesses, didn't know what to do. And we ended up buying one a little bit bigger than what we anticipated. And I was able to quit my job after 6 months. And so it replaced her income and my income. And I pivoted and left mine after about 6 months after we kind of started it up and started growing it. So that's kind of how we kind of got into that first business.
Okay. So that very first deal, what did it teach you the hard way?
Man, it's, as we get older, we realize how stupid we were when we were younger, right? Does that make sense? So it was a hardwood floor company like carpet and tile and hardwoods and things like that. That was the company. And we bought it for $900,000 and got a government small business administration loan. We put like $100,000, $150,000 down. And yeah, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. I was driving around in a Lexus and I had to sell it and buy a pickup truck, right? So, but everything was in place. That business existed for 20 years. So all the workers and employees and the systems and the customers were all there, and it just was kind of a plug and play. So it was a good first purchase without a doubt.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. So we've kind of lost count. We were chatting before, obviously, first of all, about Texas barbecue, all the way from Tellers there. But second of all, you've kind of lost count as to how many businesses that you may have acquired and exited, but we know it's over 15. So looking back, what's one early mistake that shaped how you do deals today?
When on that first one, and it was super, super important, right? Because as I mentioned, with me being a CPA, you'd think I'd be all over the numbers, right? But I looked at it in massively big scales when we were auditing companies worth billions of dollars versus buying a company that's worth $900,000. It's two different worlds, right? So I thought I was smart and knew everything. And we bought that first business and we didn't get enough working capital.
Right.
So we asked for a little bit of working capital, but we didn't ask for enough, right? Mm-hmm. So we just didn't understand how money was coming into the business and when, and money going out of the business and when. And we got down to like $25 in a checking account in the second month. And we ended up injecting about another $15,000 into the business to make payroll a couple of times before we started getting better cash flow. So we almost ran out of money.
Now, I actually saw an Instagram reel of you talking about this exact thing. And I think you explained on that about how that working capital is necessary. And of course, we're paying employees on one day, getting paid to here. Do you want to give us a rundown of that sort of working capital concept?
Yeah, I mean, it's just money in and money out, right? So from day one, right, I've taken over the business. I closed yesterday, and now I'm here, right? So I could have payroll on day one. If they're on a 2-week cycle, and that I buy it on a Thursday and Friday's payroll, I may have $10,000 or $15,000 going out that first day, and I got no money coming in, right? And then, what are your payment terms with your customers? They pay you in 15 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So we got to calculate when that money's coming in, right? And then I had to put a deposit down for my rent. I had to put a deposit down for the water utilities and electric utilities and gas utilities. So I had all this money going out, and I just massively miscalculated that, without a doubt. And then I didn't even throw in a slush fund in there. Like, we own 3 or 4 trucks. What if one of them broke down 2 weeks after I bought it and it's a $3,000 repair? Well, I didn't put in any money for that, right? And then how about if my payment terms are 30 days? What if one of them doesn't pay me until 45 days?
Too right.
Or how about if just one of them doesn't pay me at all? Just a bad debt, a bad customer, right? So extremely, extremely important. So what a massive mistake that I made coming out of the gate, right? And I preach about that. If you saw a reel, it's like, man, that is mistake number one. Of the businesses that fail, 80% of them fail because of lack of cash and cash management mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? It's just, you've heard the old adage, and you don't really understand it until you own a business yourself and grow it and scale it, that you can grow too fast, right? You have to have enough money to finance that growth.
Yeah.
Right? If you can't, while it's great to go from 1 million to 2 million in 12 months, it's very difficult to manage that, and you need a lot of cash to do that.
I like to say you need to earn that right to grow step
Yeah.
by step. Yeah. Okay. What pulled you into the world of buying existing businesses instead of starting from scratch, Paul?
Man, I get that question a lot. Back then, I didn't know, but I know now of why you would want to do one over the other. And I have a saying or a rule when I'm looking to buy a business. It's a 10 plus 10. So go 10 years each way from your acquisition date. So I won't look at a business that hasn't been in business for 10 years. Okay. And the main reason I do that is it's gone through one downturn, one recession, and it survived it. So if it's been in business 10, it's most likely to be in business for 10 more years, right? Yep. So that first flooring company I bought has been around 20 years. And now it's been around another 25. So it's been around 45. So I have a feeling it's going to be around another 45, right? And the other thing I look at is when I'm looking at buying a business now, I project forward what that business is going to look like in 10 years. What problems, what economic downturns, what changes in public policy from the government, taxation, all that sort of stuff. So I'll bring up like medical space, which I absolutely love that space, but I've always been super scared to buy one because the government here in the States, they give so much money through Medicaid and Medicare, right? And insurance companies too. If you're relying on insurance companies to pay your health insurance companies, they can change their reimbursements like that.
Yeah.
So if you have a physical therapy company and you're getting $107 an hour, let's just make up a number, from the federal government for reimbursement for Medicaid and Medicare and Medicaid, and your insurance reimbursement. Let's say they're all 107.
Yeah.
And hey, we're going through some budget cuts. And all of a sudden, a year later or 2 years after you bought it, now their reimbursement's 85. You may be out of business.
Yeah.
So when you're relying on other people and have zero input on how much money you make from your customers, you're not doing your own pricing. You're just relying on someone else to pay you and hope and pray that it doesn't change. And hope and pray, by the way, is a horrible business plan. Hoping and praying is horrible. So anyway, I look at the next 10 years and if I project it without any problems or anything like that, then that's clean. So 10 plus 10 is how I look at businesses now.
Okay. Well, from your experience, what would you say sellers, or what do sellers consistently overestimate when valuing their business? And I guess on the flip side, what do buyers usually underestimate when stepping into their ownership?
Well, sellers always overestimate how much the company's worth.
Always.
Always.
It's our baby.
Without a doubt. But that creates a massive problem. right? To reconcile how much money they want versus how much it's actually worth. But that's a whole nother 2 hour long conversation. And one thing they always overestimate too is their owner ad backs. So all the personal expenses that they run through the business, that they're going to take net income and add back all of these personal expenses, they always overestimate that. And on the flip side, buyers, I feel like, never verify or ask questions about those ad backs. They just take them for face value, and that's it. And when you're paying a multiple of 4, and they just had an ad back for 10 grand in there, you just overpaid your company by 40 grand. And they just don't. They just take it for face value. One, because I think they're not educated enough to ask intelligent questions in that space.
Yeah.
But on the buyer side too, is I think they overestimate how important it is to build rapport with the seller. Okay. For 2 reasons. One, post acquisition, you may need that seller for some reason for 3 or 4 or 5 years, right? So you got them on for full time for 90 days to help that transition. But there could be something weird come up. And if you don't have good rapport with that person, you're going to reach out and say, hey, Billy, man, I got something weird. Can you step in and run by the shop for an hour and help me out? And so you need to build that friendship relationship post acquisition, but even more importantly, pre acquisition, right? If you become a friend, then the negotiation is not confrontational. It's a conversation between 2 friends. And what I mean by that is if in my letter of intent, I offered $1 million, okay? And now I've gone through due diligence and I found something and I want a price reduction. If you're not friends with that person, he's going to tell you to go to hell. But if I've had 10 conversations, I went hunting with them, I went to a ball game with them. If you're married and they're married, then you've gone to dinner, right? And you talk about grandchildren or children and what do you like to do? What are your hobbies and all that sort of stuff. And now you're friends. So I think that is a massive miss by uneducated business buyers. Is they don't understand how important that is. And now it's when you want that $100,000 discount, it's like, hey man, I found this and I couldn't vouch out some of this revenue, or man, you haven't given these guys a raise in 3 years and I'm going to be on the stuck giving them a raise for the first time. And that's going to become money out of my pocket. I got to pay you less. Oh yeah. You know what? That makes sense, Paul. Thanks for bringing that up. I should have said something about that. And now it's just a conversation with 2 friends and it goes super easy.
So if a sale is going through a broker, some kind of middleman, you're kind of sort of still trying to get straight towards the owner to find the real.
Yeah, I have a problem with brokers. They get in the way too much, but the brokers, if they want to go, some of the brokers don't like me having conversations with sellers, but I'm like, okay, well, come to lunch with us. You want to be on this phone call? You want to bring your spouse and have all 6 of us go to dinner? That's fine. I don't care. But, and rightfully so, they got to, I could be trying to manipulate them in some form or fashion. So I get the broker being there.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Okay. For someone buying their first business, which numbers really matter and which numbers sort of get too much attention?
The purchase price gets too much attention.
Yeah.
Yep. So from the seller standpoint, the selling price comes out of somebody's ass sometimes, I feel like.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
They just pull it out of thin air, right? So, and sometimes it's ego, especially if it's a round number. I've always wanted to sell my business for $5 million. I've always wanted to tell somebody that, or 10 million. That's even a bigger number. Or $1 million, right? It's a good dinner conversation, right? Or cocktail party, right?
Yeah, I've done that myself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what I try to do is, if you're within spitting distance, let's say $1 million, and you think it's worth 800, okay? Give them the $1 million and negotiate the terms. And what I mean by that is, so let's say Billy is good and Billy the seller pays himself $100,000 salary. So I'm going to go to Billy. I'm like, man, I'm going to give you $1 million, but you got to help me out. I need you to work for free for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I need you to do a seller carry at 20% at a 4% interest rate, which is below market.
Yep.
And I need you on full standby for that seller note for 2 years. Right. So now I gave him his $1 million, but in essence, I bought the company for $750,000.
Yep.
Because I got him for free for 2 years, and I got a below market interest rate, and I got him a full standby on his seller note for 2 years, so I can build up a cash pile. Probably at the end of 2 years, I got enough money to buy a second business because I did that, right? So it's a win-win everywhere. He got his $1 million, and he's got that ego, puffy chest, but behind the scenes, I really bought it for $750,000.
I really like that. So I guess what are some other creative financing deals or structures you've seen work well in small business acquisitions? Because I know right now there are a lot of sort of baby boomers. There are a lot of people that want to exit, can't sell their businesses. I guess that leads to opportunities for the next generation to get in. They don't need all that cash to start off with, do they?
No, they don't. So two things that outside of working the terms versus the selling price, that's item number one that we just talked about. Item number two is there's so many investors right now that if you work your network, that you may be able to buy a business with no money out of pocket. Where right now, the SBA wants a 10% down payment over here. So if I can find an investor, I'm buying $1 million business, so 10% is $100,000. So I need $100,000. I go to an investor, and these people are all over the place. They're running around with so much money that they're just falling out of their pockets, and they don't even care. They can't even tell. So they're going to put up all the money, and you're going to give them 20% equity in the deal. Okay. And then you own 80%. You got no money out of pocket. Okay. And then if you get what I call intelligent money, there's idiot money, which is just some stupid person that has a bunch of money that provides zero benefit to you. Or if you're buying a flooring company, let's say an oil and gas company, that's even better, that I get $100,000 from somebody that's already been in the oil and gas space and knows all sorts of people.
Yes.
So that's what I call intelligent money. So that comes with a benefit where hey, can you reach out to your network and try to drive some business to us? And I'm thinking about opening up a second location in Midway, Texas, and that sort of stuff. So intelligent money is good.
I'm kind of thinking right now the Shark Tank.
Yes.
Trying to get those to invest because, they've got the connections.
Yeah, they got connections. So I call that intelligent money. And then the second thing, being me a CPA and understanding this and getting back to our previous conversation about becoming friends with people. So you're talking to baby boomers, okay, which is massive right now. So, all right. So Billy, what are you going to do with this money? This $1 million I give to you. Let's say he's 65. Well, I'm thinking of just getting a 10-year government bond, which is paying 3.25% right now. Oh, okay. Yeah, you don't want to put it in the stock market or anything because it's risky and you can't understand the ebbs and flows and the highs and lows of the stock market. So you just so right now I already know that Billy, he's cool with a 3.75% return on his money. So it's starting to click, right? Well, what if I could show you how I could get you 4.5% instead? Well, what are you talking about? Well, if you do 100% seller financing on this thing, I'll give you 4.5% for 10 years. He's like, really? What? And because I'm a CPA, I'm going to throw this out to him as well. If I wrote you a check for $1 million, you're going to pay 40% in taxes on that in 1 year. You have $1 million gain. But if you spread it over 10 years, it's in essence an installment sale, and you're going to have a $100,000 gain for 10 straight years, which puts you in at about a 20% tax bracket. So instead of a $400,000 hit in taxes in 1 year, it's going to be $20,000 a year for 10 years, $200,000. So I just saved you $200,000 in taxes. So I got you an above market interest rate, and I just saved you $200,000 in taxes.
And you got yourself a business that's already operating, already making money.
Yep.
No money down.
Yep, exactly. So what I just told you about right now, nobody knows about. Nobody knows about. Nobody sells that. And I think for the elderly people that are selling their business, it's a massive benefit that their CPA doesn't even know about, that's not telling them.
It's a win-win.
Oh, yeah. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Okay. Well, actually, let's get on to your book then, The Exit Plan. Tell us a little bit about what that focuses on.
Man, I've been wanting to write a book for like 20 years. And I just started writing it last January, about a year ago. It took me about 6 months, got published. It's on Amazon. It's an Amazon bestseller. And I give an audiobook away for free, by the way. So anybody, I'll send it to you, any of your listeners, just email me. And I'll send you a free copy of the audiobook.
So we'll have a shout out right now. Where do people actually find you?
What's that? Oh, where they can find you? Paul at bizbypro.com.
Perfect. There we go.
Paul at bizbypro. Email me and I'll send you a free copy of the audiobook. No strings attached. I'm just here to help people out. That's what gets me to awake in the morning. So I finally started writing it, and it is just really a blueprint of how to buy a small business yourself. And it's just kind of a journey over my last 25 years. I feel like half of it is just all the mistakes I've made. Right.
That's good. That's how we learn from others.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So what took me 10 years of knowledge to acquire, and all the mistakes I've made, and letting emotion drive decisions and letting ego drive decisions and all that sort of stuff. And just like the working capital we already talked about, and buying businesses I shouldn't have bought, and all this sort of stuff. Man, you read that book, and after you read it, you've moved up 9.5 years already. You learned all the stuff, and you're ready to go, right? And all this sort of stuff that we just talked about today is in the book, and there's a ton more stuff of just, man, about taxation, how to minimize taxation. And I just feel like not paying taxes is one of like 7 ways to become wealthy. Legally, of course, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we all get mad at the Donald Trumps and the Bill Gates of the world and all those people that paid like 5% in taxes. God bless them. I mean, they're using the U.S. tax code to their benefit, right? And very rarely do I pay more than 5% per year. Just because I got so much stuff going on. I own real estate, and I do this, and I got depreciation and amortization and special depreciation and Section 179 and all this sort of stuff, and paying yourself properly and paying my children out of my businesses and have them on board of directors. And it's just all this sort of stuff that it's there for you to use. And if you don't use it, if you're paying 30 or 40% in taxes, that's your own fault.
So right now the advice is get a good accountant, obviously in your country, and work those rules and those laws.
With that, and not just a spectacular accountant that is more of a consultant than it is a bean counter.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, if someone never plans to sell, things change, but let's say they're in their head, no, I'm not going to sell this business. Why does building an exit-ready business still matter?
By the way, I never buy a business thinking I'm going to sell it.
Yeah.
Never.
Yep.
My invention, I'm buying it because I like it and I want to scale it. So typically the businesses I sell are the ones I don't like. Right. Like I bought it and like, man, this didn't turn out what I thought it was going to be. And then I just kind of sell it for what I got it for. And I just pivot and move my money elsewhere. Right. So those are most of my exits. I just didn't like the business. It was hard to sell, or it's more of a commoditized business, or just whatever. Right. So I never intend to sell. I've owned the flooring company for 28 years.
All right.
Of course, that's my baby.
Yeah.
So that's probably one reason I'll never sell it, is that's my baby, right? And I don't want to get rid of my baby. So I'm hoping one of my 5 kids will actually want to take over the flooring business. But if not, I'll take that to my grave with me.
Right.
But if you are thinking about exiting, plan 3 years in advance.
There we go.
3 years, right? So you got to have 3 years of profit and loss, 3 years of balance sheets, 3 years of tax returns. Everything has to be 100% documented. Everything's got to be in video, right? Just video everything on how everything is done, right? System, and then you just come in and it is just like you come in and turn on the computer and everything's done for you, right?
Yeah.
And by doing that, you'll get at least a 25% bump on your valuation just because everything is clean.
Okay. Which actually was going to be my next question. And it may be the same answer, but let's say we've got a listener right now doing, I don't know, 300 to 2 mil a year. What's one thing they could do in that next 30 days to make their business more valuable? Number one, we've said systemization, record everything. Anything else you can think of?
Without a doubt, just everything's clean,
Mm.
right? So I personally would make sure when you are selling it, when you do get to it, be very minimal on your ad backs.
Mm.
Okay. Even if you have to eat a little bit of valuation, but man, when a company makes $300,000 and they have $200,000 in ad backs, I walk away from it.
Ad backs? Can we just have like a definition around that?
Seller ad backs. So just personal expenses they run through the company.
Yeah.
So if I print out the profit and loss, it says it makes $300,000, but I pay my wife $50,000 a year, but she doesn't work in the business, so that's an ad back, right? It's an expense that new owners not going to incur. So all those ad backs, and the fewer the ad backs, the more comfortable I am with the company. But again, if your income's 300 and you have 200 in additional ad backs, that just makes me uncomfortable. One, it's just like makes you not trustworthy. Mm-hmm. That you're cheating the government out of that much taxes, you're running through all these personal expenses. Is just, if you don't trust the seller, walk away from it. So I would say minimize those ad backs, makes me more comfortable. But yeah, I think in the previous conversation, I think I answered all that. Just systematize everything, right? And then probably one other thing is if you have 1 or 2 key employees, get them under contract before you list them for sale.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
We've got some gold coming out of this. And look, I kind of believe in, even if you're not going to sell, I think the process of going through and systemization and working yourself out of a job so it does run by itself, that's all part of that exit process. And it's part of making it a better business.
Yep. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. Ultimately, you strive to remove yourself from the business as much as possible because that gives you opportunity to buy number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And that's what I'm teaching is multiple business acquisition it creates generational wealth. Yeah. Right. So that's what I'm trying to teach people. It's not just about business number 1. It's like, let's buy business number 2, 3 years down the road. And I like buying different businesses versus scaling one.
Okay.
I don't think either is wrong. But I look at buying multiple businesses, especially if they're in different industries, just as diversification.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Okay, we kind of touched on this before, Paul. But if someone's deciding between starting a business or buying one, how do you think they should think about that decision? Because you've started a business from scratch, obviously.
I have.
And you've bought. So what's the thought process?
My thought process is buy one until you know what you're doing. So of the businesses that I have bought, I've got a 92% success rate.
Of course, they've got that 10-year history.
They do. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Of the businesses I started from scratch, I have a 25% success rate. Okay. So if I had a thought of how you should plan this out, buy an existing business number 1, buy an existing business number 2, cut your teeth on that, make a few mistakes, kind of understand that world. And then 5 years into this, if you want to start a business, go ahead.
I love it.
So at least you kind of have a better, a spitting chance of being successful. 95% of startups fail within the first 5 years. 95%. So why are you the outlier?
Now, I'm speaking to someone right now who's got a load of experience, but yet you're still saying, hey, look, the ones I start up, 25%. And those ones that you did start up, honestly, looking back, what do you think you could have done differently? Or were they just shouldn't have started in the first place?
Probably shouldn't have started them from scratch. Should have just not even started it. But it's so hard to guess when you're going to become profitable. How much money? Well, how much money do we need? Well, why don't we start with $100,000? Okay, that sounds good. Right? It's like, and you could budget all this stuff and put some pro formas like, okay, this is how much our payments it. But when are you going to start bringing in revenue?
Yeah.
In 6 months, 12, 18, 24, 36? I don't know. So it's just so hard to project a break-even point when you start something up from scratch. You don't have any customers. Hell, you don't have any employees, right? You're probably working out of a house or something like that. It's like, they're going to go rent something and sign a personal guarantee on a lease for 5 years? Yeah. Are you kidding me? Yeah. And you don't have any customers yet? So I don't want to discourage people, but you better have a lot of money in your pocket before you start one, because you're most likely going to lose it all. And that's fine. If you're making 500 grand from business number 1 and 2, then take that risk and throw 100 grand or 150 grand at a startup, because you can absorb that loss, right? But you can't absorb that loss if you don't have any income, right? So I don't want to say that I wouldn't have done anything differently. I liked all the businesses, and I thought we did a great job. It just didn't work out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
What do you reckon a myth is about buying or selling businesses that you wish would disappear?
Say that again.
What's one myth about buying or selling businesses that you think just shouldn't be there?
Well, buying a business, a lot of people think it's easy.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep. There's a lot of people in my space that present that a lot of rainbows and butterflies and unicorns on buying a business. Oh, it's super easy. You'll have one in 30 days and no money out of pocket and absentee ownership and all this sort of stuff. And I just want to kill them. It's difficult, and it is a long process. I think it's very rewarding. I would tell everybody to replicate what I did, but I'm not going to blow hot air up your ass and say that it's easy. It's very difficult. And people don't understand that it entails sacrifice, right? So people look at where I am now and the things that I do and the things that I have and that money affords me to do, and I'm blessed, but they don't remember 25 years ago when I downsized my house. When I first bought that first house, I downsized my house by 50%, went from like a 4,000 square foot house to a 2,000 square foot. I sold my Lexus and bought a $5,000 beater pickup truck. Me and my wife did not go out to dinner for 2 years. We took no vacations for 2 years. We made a massive sacrifice. Yeah. But what's funny is 2 years after we bought that, I bought the same house back and bought me another car, a brand new car.
The exact same house.
We started going on vacations. What?
Did you buy the exact same house?
We did.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't live in that house now. But yes, I bought it back because I loved it. But we moved again. So they think it's easy, and they're not willing to sacrifice of what it takes, right?
And some people are just fairly innocent and just don't know the sacrifice that it does take.
And I worked 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
For the first couple of years, because I mean that was it. I mean, I had the saying. I was like, jump off the bridge. No, there's no looking back here. This is you. If you fail, you're done. I mean, this is, and don't take it lightly, I guess would be the other thing is, man, you got $100,000 to your name. You just bought a business. And if it fails, the government's going to take your house. And you most likely, if you're married, your marriage will end and your kids will hate you. So you got to jump off the bridge and or burn the boat or whatever analogy you want to use. And man, it's make or break, and it's all on you.
I mean, you just said something there that kind of clicked, and I see some other people that it's not just the money that you may lose, but the stress on relationships and your family and your inner circle is so stretched as well, isn't it?
Yep. And that's why I highly recommend. I mean, if you're new in this space, I mean, people try to go cheap, and it's like, I'm going to toot my own horn. Hire me, please, before you make a massive financial mistake. If you don't like me, find somebody just like me. There's hundreds of people that are just like me that have been in this space for a long time, and the majority of them are all very good. Seek counsel. and make sure you're doing this right.
As you mentioned before, I mean, straight away with one little mistake, there's 40K out the window. If you do it right to begin with, even on the smallest business, there's hundreds of dollars to be gained by getting the right advice.
Yeah.
By getting the support.
Do you think that somebody in the newbie can work terms like I did earlier on the $1 million purchase price, but I was really paying $750? So you hire me, I can save you $250,000 in 10 minutes.
Yep.
Right, by just restructuring that deal and making sure you have enough working capital so you don't make that mistake I did. Right.
Yeah.
So I've got an automated working capital calculation now, so it's kind of bulletproof.
Now, look, I've seen some people in certain industries and certain businesses, and they absolutely love it. And then you can get another person in that same business, in that same industry, and they hate it. Okay, so everyone's got their own opinions. But from the businesses that you've had, which have you enjoyed the most? What kind of industries? Because you're very diversified. And I guess, what have you hated?
I've been all over the place. I've been in direct marketing. I've been in oil and gas. I've been in home services and real estate. And I've kind of been all over the place. My flooring company is my favorite one.
It's because it's your baby. It's your first one.
It's my baby, but I still work it about 10 hours a week, and I act as a salesperson. And I love getting out in the house, right? I pick up trucks. So I got a big install on probably a $4 million house. We're putting in 6,000 square feet of wood floors. Yeah. It's probably about a $75,000 job. And I'll meet the crews down there.
Yep.
And tell them where we're going and which way the wood's running and stopping here and make sure you cut around the fireplace here and all that sort of stuff. I love getting out of the house and going to do that and measuring and supervising that. So I still really, really like doing that.
Okay. And I guess on the opposing side, where have you kind of hated it in terms of industry-wise, or gone into something going, what are we doing here? The margins are crap.
Yeah, I bought a hardwood plywood company. And what I mean by that is it's 4x8 sheets of different types of plywood, like oak and maple and walnut. So we would sell to cabinet manufacturers.
Okay, so wholesale.
And trim carpenters. So if somebody's doing some nice paneling in a study or something like that. So I bought that and I loved it at the very beginning. Big company. We had like a 20,000 square foot warehouse and had about $1 million worth of inventory. But this is one of the ones where I quickly pivoted. I just didn't like it because it was very commoditized.
Right.
And it was all about price. Well, how much is yours? Oh, it's $8.70. Your competitor is $8.69. So I'm going with him. They'd save a penny on one sheet of plywood. And you couldn't provide any value add.
Yeah.
Right. It was, did you have the product and can you deliver it tomorrow? That was it.
Yeah.
Nothing else. So it's commoditized. And I'm like, I can't grow this by adding additional value. So I bought it and sold it about a year or two later and pretty much sold it for what I got for it. So that was very disappointing.
Okay. Righto. We're getting towards the end of this. So if you could leave business owners, so existing business owners now, with one guiding principle for either buying or exiting a business, what would it be? Number one is obviously hire someone like yourself. What would number two be though?
Of existing business owners?
Yeah.
Oh, existing business owners. Have a plan before you sell. What are you going to do afterwards? Right? If this has been your baby for 30 years and you're 65, you sure you want to retire? So you better have a plan of what you're going to do, not just with the money, but with your time. Just because you're 65 doesn't mean you need to sell, right? I plan on working until the day I'm dead, and maybe a few days after I'm in the ground too, I'll still be working. So have a plan with what you're going to do personally with your time, because you're going to drive your shit batshit crazy.
You know what? I love that advice, because I was in this situation where I did sell a company with no plan afterwards. I got to about 6 months. I had the big holiday, went to Disneyland, a couple of months away, then back at summer. Okay, cruise. And then about that 6 month period, I started to go, oh my gosh, this sucks. I'm getting depressed. I need to do something.
If you just want to exit because you just want your payday, you want your $3 million, that's great. But again, if you're 65 and you're in good health, you're going to live to 85. What do you do for 20 years? So what I would do is I would work a deal with the buyer. Can I stay on as a part-time salesperson? Indefinitely. I want $60,000 a year, every single year, and you can fire me anytime you want, but my intention is to stay here for 10 years. Then you don't have the headache of being that business owner. When somebody doesn't show up or doing payroll super late one night, and all the headaches of business ownership is gone, and now you just kind of enjoy working, right?
I love it. Hey, listen, Paul, this has been an absolute masterclass. Some real golden nuggets in there. So thanks for sharing like the real world stuff, not just that textbook theory. Once again, we've mentioned it before, but where will people find you?
Sure. Email paul@bizbypro.com. I can send you the book and just send me an email for the question. I love doing this stuff. So I'm super passionate. My goal is to train 1,000 to 2,000 people in the next 10 years to do exactly what I did, that they'll be in my place in 25 years from now. So that's my goal.
I love it. Hey, so folks, if you're listening to this episode and it got you thinking differently about your business, whether you're buying, building, or planning the expert, that is the point. And of course, if you've got an existing business or starting from scratch and you want to discuss, obviously, with Paul or myself, we offer here a free breakthrough session at Coachbirds, really to help identify that biggest bottleneck to map out your next smart move, or if you're buying or selling, who could be your man. Again, thanks you, Paul, for coming on. This was Let's Talk Small Business. Hope to see you again.
Man, I loved it. Thank you.
Cool. Let's Talk Small Business. I appreciate you tuning in. If you got value, hit subscribe, like, or drop a comment. It spreads the word and might just help another legend get their breakthrough.